Hey, what's up guys, John here. What are your thoughts on the government being able to control how much landlords and property owners are able to legally charge for their apartments and houses?
We believe that rent control is an appropriate tool nationally to tell landlords that they cannot simply jack up their rents to any rate that they want.
About 12 months ago, they slowly started peppering in these stories that this is going to be a good idea.
Progressive lawmakers are pushing President Biden towards nationwide rent control.
And then something very big happened today from the Housing Voucher Program, the HUD. What I'm going to share with you is going to completely change the way that you look at residential and commercial real estate, the entire housing market. If you're an owner, an investor, if you're a renter, pay very, very close attention to this because this is restructuring America as we know it. Please hit the like button. When you hit the like button, YouTube's going to share this content to educate the people about what's really going on. And if you'd like to fix your credit, we'd love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, any negative item on your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com by clicking the link in the description below this video. Take a look at this. So I'm going to show you kind of the timeline how this works. So a month ago, federal rent control debate over national renter protections. 1 month ago. August, economists support nationwide rent control, right? This is August, a couple months ago. Then, same right here, they peppered again, September 26th. Then they came out with this, the Renters' Bill of Rights. This is nearly a year ago. So the White House Blueprint Bill of Rights, and this is on whitehouse.gov, right? You can see it right there. I'm pulling down so you can see the URL, whitehouse.gov. And some of these suggestions that they had here, one of which was eviction protections, diversions, and relief. What essentially that meant was that tenants would be able to have access to free legal counsel and landlords would not. Landlords would have to hire their own outside counsel. They would have the right to organize, very similar to what we're seeing with the UAW strike and the Kaiser strike where all of the workers go on strike. Well, the same thing will be true. All the tenants will be able to go on strike on a building and they would be able to withhold rent together. The other would be education, enforcement, enhancement of rights, right? This would obviously all means that it would just be harder and harder for a lot of mom and pop landlords to be able to defend their rights as a property owner. The same clear and fair leases, right? All of these different things, access to safe, quality, accessible, and affordable housing. They have a lot of change planned for property owners. Then when I came across this, I thought this was very fascinating and this all peppers in. This is nearly a year ago. So follow the clues. The Biden administration flirts with imposing nationwide rent control via executive action. Federal housing regulators are flirting with the idea of imposing nationwide rent control via executive action, although any attempt to implement their plan would run into some serious practical and legal hurdles. On Wednesday, the White House released a blueprint for the Bill of Rights, which I just shared with you, that lists a wide range of actions federal agencies are taking to consider strengthening tenant protections and encouraging rental affordability. The most eye-catching proposal is an announcement that the Federal Housing Finance Agency, FHFA, the independent regulator and conservator of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, would explore ways to limit egregious rent increases going forward at properties with Fannie and Freddie debt, right? Fannie and Freddie backed mortgages. Well, how many mortgages are backed by Fannie Freddie? 70%. 70%. So if you think about it, when we're walking into a situation where we have corporations, these big private equity funds sitting on so much cash, if they're paying cash, they do whatever the hell they want with the property, right? But if you're a mom and pop or an everyday investor that purchased property, that could be an issue, right? That could be a big issue if you're sitting there, you're like, you know what, my plan is to buy this property. I want to change out the landscaping and switch out the windows and paint. I want to, upgrade the HVAC. I want to do all these different things and I want to be able to increase rents to what I think the market would support in my neighborhood. Well, if they think it's egregious, you're not going to be able to do that, right? So that's going to be a problem for a lot of property owners, not just the investors though. What I'm talking about mainly are people that simply bought a property, but their costs are continuing to rise. So insurance and taxes are going up. So if the income is staying really low, like let's call it $1,500, and maybe the landlord's making $200 or $300 a month, and then insurance goes up and taxes go up, maybe the next year the landlord's making -50, -100, and maybe that tenant moves out. Maybe he's vacant for a month or 2 months. Maybe there's an eviction. Maybe there's other expenses, repairs on the properties. What does this mean? It means big problems for a lot of landlords. And so when you start to look at this, it's presenting a massive opportunity for these large investors to be able to go out there and invest. Since the campaign trail, President Joe Biden promised to create a Renters' Bill of Rights of federal tenant protections in recent months. He's also pressured by congressional Democrats and affordable housing advocates to use his executive powers more strictly regulate corporate landlords and their ability to charge market pricing for housing. Both have suggested in a letter to the White House that the FHFA use its powers to cap rent increases with properties with Freddie and Fannie debt, right? So that was about a year ago, coming up 9 months ago, right? 9 months ago. So you start to look at what just came out today, October 24th. This is on their website. Pull it down here so you can see HUD.gov. You know it's legit. They say, today, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development announced an action that will cover expanded housing voucher, housing and neighborhood choices for more than 800,000 total households. Think about how big that is, 800,000 households, using housing choice vouchers to find more secure, affordable housing. Now let's be real. Everybody needs affordable housing. Everybody. I mean, even now, if you're making $100,000 a year, you're spending $2,500 bucks, $3,000 a month. With everything, the cost in which it takes today to survive, food, car insurance, health insurance, everything is so expensive. Everybody needs affordable housing, right? So when you start to see this, what I believe this is this presents an opportunity for demand to start to really swallow this up. And then when you start to look at what they're suggesting, where they're going to essentially be able to put you in high rent neighborhoods. So you might be able to go to Manhattan, you might be able to go to Beverly Hills or Westwood, or some of these prime areas where maybe rent would be $7,000, maybe it would be $6,000. But if you're in this voucher program, maybe it costs you $300 bucks, right? Maybe they cover 90% of it, right? This is what's going to start to happen. Now, how is this actually going to get funded? It's going to get funded, I believe, through taxpayer revenue. I think what's going to happen is taxes are going to continue to rise, and there's going to be more and more demand for tenant protections, allowing the government to have more power and more control than ever before in the name of affordability. So when you start to look at how this whole thing plays out, it's fascinating. So they say that today's action requires a total of 41 metropolitan areas that cover more than 440,000 housing vouchers to use small area fair market rents under HUD's 2016 small area fair market rents final rule, joining 24 metropolitan areas that covered almost 370,000 vouchers and bringing the total number of metropolitan areas covered by the rule to 65, covering more than 800,000 households, or 45% of families in the Housing Choice Voucher Program. This action ensures that a portion of units in every neighborhood are affordable. Every neighborhood that are affordable to tenants and renting with a voucher, including higher rent neighborhoods with high-performing schools and other life-enriching opportunities. Small area fair market rents allow public housing agencies to set maximum rents that housing vouchers that will cover in that zip code level instead of the entire metropolitan area. This policy allows voucher payments that more accurately reflect the local market and enable voucher holders to choose from a wider range of neighborhoods that suit their and their families' preferences to meet their needs at no additional cost to them. Today's action helps realize a dream that has been deferred for too long by expanding the housing choices of 800,000 households of modest means. HUD is increasing opportunities and working to break down the long-standing harmful systems of segregation. While the housing crisis remains a challenge, implementing innovative solutions is crucial and will foster a more sustainable future within our communities. Increasing choice of households who rely on housing choice vouchers can positively impact families' health and well-being. For instances, when children in low-income families grow up in poverty, well-resourced neighborhoods, they are much more likely to be able to attend college and earn more as young adults. And there's even evidence that the PHA that has used the SMFMRs in the past expand housing choices of families, allowing them to use their vouchers in neighborhoods with lower poverty rates and better performing schools. So if you think about how perfectly timed this is, you have this job market, right? This job market that's slowly eroding. It's almost like quicksand. You're starting to see more and more layoffs. Employers are really tightening back on spending. They're cutting staff, right? It's happening across the finance industry. It's happening across tech. It's happening across everything. And so you're going to start seeing this big wave of dependence continue to grow. You're seeing it right now even with these UBI, Universal Basic Income pilot programs, where it was only 11 cities in 2021. Now it's 82 cities are offering this in 29 states. You're going to start to see much more demand. So as the economy starts to really go through this big change in 2024 and 2025, you're going to start seeing a lot of people pushing and demanding for this. So what do I think is going to happen? I think we're going to see a lot of people that thought real estate was super sexy and an easy way to make money and just an awesome opportunity start to look at this saying, you know what, this is actually a big problem. Maybe I bought too high. Maybe I have too much debt. Maybe I shouldn't have done this. So what's going to happen? You're going to start seeing a lot of multifamily mom and pop landlords leave the business. And what do I think is going to happen? I think we're going to start seeing a lot of people looking at risk differently when it comes to multifamily investing, being a landlord. And so what does that mean? Risk is going to start to get repriced in a lot of these assets. Now that insurance is continuing to rise, borrowing costs are continuing to rise, assets are going to get repriced, and people that can come in there and pay cash are going to have more leverage. And other people that can't are going to at least be able to walk into a deal with answers today that those investors didn't have a year ago, 2 years ago. So we're going to start to see a lot of change unfolding in the real estate market, no doubt about it. Some of these policy decisions that you've seen in New York City and Los Angeles and San Francisco, people knew that that was a pro-tenant location, right? They knew tenants had a lot of rights in these areas. But what is happening is all that is spreading nationwide. That is what's happening. So if you're thinking about investing, make sure you know what you're doing. I believe a lot of people are going to make a lot of money in real estate, but a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money as well, simply by being overly optimistic, ignoring the facts of what's actually happening in the direction in which this country is really going in. What do you think about this? Drop below, hit the like button, add me on IG, and if you'd like to fix your credit, we'd love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, any negative item on your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com by clicking the link in the description below this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.